family doing, mate?
Yeah, good, pal. Yeah, me and my little lads, we're doing all right. It's they've been struggling in the heat. You know, little babies running around with nappy on and stuff. But no, we're all good, pal. We're good.
Yeah, good, man. So before we get stuck into your rugby story, mate, where was home for you as a kid, and who lived at home with you?
Yeah, so I'm a Wigan lad, Wigan born and bred, and from Beach Hill, little area in Wigan. I live with mum and dad. The house that we lived in was actually the one that my mum was born in as well.
That's good, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So she was born under the window. So yeah, and then obviously when my mum and dad sort of got married, and I think her mum might have passed away not long after it, so my nan. So they just sort of took on that house, really. And she pretty much lived the whole life. So
yeah, the rest is history.
That's the one, yeah. And then obviously I've just up the road now. I've got my own house and with lads. So it's still in Wigan though. Can't leave God's
Right, mate. So how was rugby first introduced to you, and where was it?
So, well, my earliest memories of rugby was my dad used to work at the old Central Park. Obviously, Wigan's ground. He worked at the Riverside Club.
Right.
So I can remember one of my earliest memories. I can remember my dad being at the obviously the Riverside Club. I think my brother might have been playing like a curtain raiser or like a schools final in Wigan for Sacred Heart or St John Fisher, whatever, whichever. And I can just remember Central Park. I can remember looking at the pitch and just like the smell of like burger vans and things like that. That's just it's like I must have been very young because I can't really remember it, but it's just they're the little memories I can remember. And then as I got older, one of my another memory that I can remember is me and my brother used to play on the carpet in the front room with like a little foam rugby ball. So obviously he'd get on his knees because he's quite a bit older than me, my brother.
Right.
He'd get on his knees and he'd let me play full contact, and he'd be knocking me everywhere. And, but one of my memories is watching work playing and the '98 grand final being on. Jason Robinson scoring that try through the middle. That's one of me. That's like I say, that's another one that just sort of them are the two main memories that sort of stick out. And then from there, I didn't really want to ever play, to be quite honest. My dad would always say, "Do you want to go to St Pat's or do you want to go to St Jude's?" And just kept like trying to, sort of get me to go. And I just like, "Nah, I don't want to play, Dad. I'm happy just not bothering." And it all started with a kid at my primary school who basically just one day said, "Oh, I play for a team in Ince called St Williams." I was like, "All right, okay." So I was a bit timid and a bit shy. So I thought, well, he's there, so at least I know someone.
Yeah.
So we go to training. Introduced me. "Oh yeah, Greg," and blah blah blah. He knows a kid from school called Gareth. And he's like, they're looking at me like, "Oh, Gareth," and they brought his kid out who played. He was from Ince, so I know it's not him. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, what's his full name?" Told him his name. He was like, we don't know who he is." I've gone in the school the day after, said to him, "I thought you played for St Williams." He went, "Yeah, I went training one time last year." And that's it. So basically, he just lied to me. But once, it was like, my dad had got me there, and he was like, "Right, that's it, you're in." And he sort of got me there, and then that's how I just ended up staying, and that's how it all started.
Right, so not only did you grow up posh, because we had pairs of socks, not a foam rugby ball for knee rugby, mate. So
it's like a teddy bear type thing. It was one of them little, so,
still posh, mate. It's not a pair of socks, is it? So you basically got tricked by this lad into it, mate. So what kept you going, and was there like a school's town team for you? Was there a process for that?
Yeah, so like I said not a minute ago, I really didn't want it. So a couple of weeks in, I thought, "You don't go in. I don't really want to be here." But my dad was like, "No, you're going there. You're here. You're staying." So I just had to sort of put up and shut up and just kept going. And then from that, my school, I went to Sacred Heart, which is like sort of in Wigan. Obviously, a lot of people talk about St John Fisher and
Yeah.
These all the it's a school that's got, but a lot of them actually come from Sacred Heart as well.
Right.
So I played in the team with Owen Farrell when I was a kid. He's a year above me, Owen. But once my primary school teacher sort of got wind that I was playing rugby, he was like, right, we're getting him in this team, because my dad had played for the school and stuff, so they knew all that. And it was like, right, we're going to get him playing. So I played in Owen's team. So I was just sort of, that's how we got into it, playing school rugby for them. And and then I got on the town team when I was, what would I have been? I think it was under 11s then, but I played a year above, so I played with Owen's age. So I got on that year, and I got on obviously the year after with my own age.
Right. And how did you find that process, mate, with you being a bit of a shy kid? Was it overwhelming, or was you all right?
It could be, yeah, to be fair. There was times when I just, I wouldn't really speak too much, and, you know, unless they sort of would come out of the way and speak to me. So, like, Owen was all right. Obviously he knew me, but obviously he had other mates as well. There was a kid from Rose Bridge he plays at Widnes now, Kenny Baker. He was a year above. Right. So he played, and so I knew him. So we would just sort of hang around a bit, and yeah, I mean, it was hard, but end of the day, I just, you know, I got on with it and played rugby.
So what position was you playing then, mate?
I don't know. I tell you what I did. I had number 5 on my back, but I definitely weren't on wing.
Take that.
I know I'd take it, but when I look back, I'm like, Christ, I weren't quick then, and I'm definitely not quick now. So they just sort of gave me number 5, but I think it was more, I played in the middle and back row, and I think obviously I think they always had that, my team sort of always had that sort of little vision type thing of when you get your extra numbers, because I think you start off with like 11 players or something, and then you end up getting a couple more. They always thought, right, he's going to be our loose forward in a couple of years. So I was sort of in and around that area so that I could be the loose forward. So yeah, I was just sort of big bopper running around, because I had like a blonde mushroom then, which surprise.
The bowl cut.
Yeah, I had the old bowl cut, so I was just a big fool running around the middle with his bowl cut.
So, do you know, if you're playing a year above, mate, do you reckon, like at town team, so when it comes to the club rugby, do you think you were probably a bit of a target in that then, or?
I don't know, you know, because I don't think a lot of the club rugby sort of teams, I don't think they didn't take notice or they didn't care, if I'm being honest. I think it was more the size of me, really, because I was quite a tall kid then, so obviously the bigger, you know, it's the old thing that the bigger lad would go for him and that type of thing. Yeah. But with Ince, I had a lot, like, it's a sort of, what should we say? It's a bit of a rougher area, and the kids were a bit rougher and ready. So the team I was in, I was like, there was more. They sort of come for me, and then like the smallest kid would be an absolute like tearaway, and he'd be going round clouting fork, and it was just like I was fine really mid team. Yeah. If I didn't taught him, someone else would taught him. So
yeah. Do you reckon that brought that side of your game on a little bit then? That bit of fire.
I think so, yeah, because I was like, you know, I was definitely timid, probably a bit soft really when I was younger. But being around them lot was like, oh, actually, you know, you need to sort of get a bit of shit in you really, and that's where that all come from really, being around them type of kids. Because there was none at my school. I mean, there was one, the one who got me there actually. He was a bit of a crazy kid in school, but it was nothing like them. Like they were like, look at you funny, they'd give you a smack and stuff like that. They were proper rough and ready kids. So, but being around them, you know, it definitely helped me as a person, and it definitely helped me my rugby as well, because I you know, I toughened up a bit, and it sort of led on from that really.
Yeah. So how was your transition into high school, mate, and where did you go? So
I went to St John Fisher, like I said, which is, it's literally them schools are right, the only right corner, they're right next to each other. So Sacred Heart's there's a fence, and St John Fisher's over the other side.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I got into that, and I was sort of I've been in both town teams, so I've been in the year above, and then I captained the year above after, captained my own age the year after. So I was sort of thinking, like, you know, I must be all right. I'm doing all right, basically. I'm doing all right at rugby, so that's something that if I can be half decent at, I want to try and have a go at. And because when I was younger, I just sort of played because, you know, you enjoy it, and never thought I'm going to go and play. But then once I got to 10, 11, I thought I'm doing all right here. Then I sort of just started to knuckle down and think, right, I'm going to try and make something if I can and be a rugby player. So that's sort of where it all started, really, going to high school, because obviously St John Fisher, it's very much a rugby league school. And I did exactly the same then. Once I got there, my age group weren't the best. Got a couple of good players, but the rest were like just footballers or whatever, just didn't really know how to play rugby. Yeah, whereas the year above, they had a really good side. So the school teachers went, right, you're going straight in them, you're not even bothering with your age. So,
right, okay.
Yeah, so.
But you'd already been doing that, so it's nothing to you, really, is it?
Yeah, I played with a few of them anyway, with town team and stuff. So they knew I was all right, and sort of vice versa. So it didn't really faze me, really. If anything, I was happy because at least I had a chance of winning something. So
yeah, no, that's it. And your game's only good at enhancing it. So looking back now, mate, have you always had a bit of leadership about you, have you?
I think so, yeah. I would say so. But again, yeah, you know, as a kid, I think I was captain of that 11s under school team, and then around that same age, I got given the captaincy at Rose Bridge, my amateur side as well. So I think, you know, I've got a bit of that in me. You know, and basically, yeah, it's there if it's more of a quiet type of thing. Sort of, I can say, you know, I'll talk to people, but it's not sort of ranting and raving, fucking, you know.
Yeah.
It's not one of them type of things. It's more just trying to be a good light leader and be a good sort of teammate, if you will. That's where.
So you're more actions and the little things at the right time rather than balling for balling's sake, innit? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean that I just switch off. I mean, there's players I've played with in my career, and just the yapping for you beat changing room an hour before game, and it's for 50 minutes of just talking. Just talking absolute rubbish here.
Yeah.
Like, no one's listening. Everyone's switched off. Just shut up.
No, that's it, innit? No, your team, I suppose.
Yeah.
So how was the standard between club and school rugby, considering you knew a lot of the lads anyway? What did you find the most competitive, and what did you get the most out of?
So, I would say, to be fair, when I moved up, it was probably on par, if I'm being honest, because we at Rose Bridge, we had a good side at Rose Bridge. There was also good teams in our league as well. Like Blackbrook always had a good side.
Yeah.
Alton Hornets team at the time, but they moved to St Mary's.
Yeah.
Sort of just came in and swarmed and took over the old Mary's side. So
right.
So they was a good side. Who else was there at the time? St Jude's had a good team. Burton Wood, like some random team that, but they was good.
Yeah.
Bold Miners as well, like they were proper like the rough-uns from St Helens. They had a good side, so it was actually a decent league we had.
Right.
But then obviously moving up and playing a year above yourself, it's always harder because the bigger lads and the more mature, and there was some good school sides as well. So it was pretty even, to be fair.
Yeah, and obviously people that, well, they probably do know, but for listeners or viewers that might not, St John Fish is a conveyor belt, mate, isn't it, for the Wigan scholarships and academies and stuff?
100%, yeah.
So was there any rugby union at John Fish in it? Your team? No.
They wouldn't even let us, like, it was just...
The way it's pure rugby league, innit?
Just rugby league, yeah. I mean, in Wigan, I think obviously we've got Wigan Rugby Union. But as a kid, I would never have known to go. I just thought they had an open age side. Same with Oral Rugby Union at the time. They were going through that transition of being professional to amateur again. So, but again, as a kid, you just sort of you never privy to it all really. But looking back in hindsight, the money they're on, I wish I was.
Would you give it a go?
Well, again, looking back, if you could give me what I know now, and then I would 100% give it a go. I'd give it a go.
Strictly back row though, mate. Stay out of that front row.
Oh no, yeah. I'd have been one of them who just keep kicking ball everywhere.
Well, the thing with like Wigan Rugby Union, like, because I grew up playing rugby league and that, it just seems to be out the way anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean, the actual
the club and that. Yeah, it's just it's up that big hill and that. Yeah,
you would never know it's there because there's nothing signposted. It's literally like if you know it's there, you know it. But apart from that, it's just the middle of it all. It's random.
That's it. Well, like your rugby league clubs are all middle of housing estates, aren't they?
100%, yeah.
Big community clubs and that.
Yeah, 100%.
So when you're knocking around that team above, are you still playing rep rugby at that age, or are you in your own age at rep rugby, so your service areas and stuff?
Yeah, so I would always play my own age when I was service area, or so them type of things. I was always my own age.
Right.
We obviously at the time it was Wigan and Lee, I think.
Yeah, it was mad that one.
Yeah, take Lee along with us for a
How was that though? Because I bet it's because your rivals on a Sunday playing on a Saturday. It's a bit.
It was weird because you sort of that initial rivalry of, and there's at the time it's like we hate St. Pat's or we hate that type of thing. You're only kids, you don't hate them, but that's the type of talk you have. And then as you start end up like you'll be training with them on a Thursday night or once a week, and then you're back with your Rose Bridge, and then you play them again on the Sunday. But there was always still, even at the training, the service area training, there was still a bit of like bit standoffish people. You know what I mean? It was always that. Yeah, there was always a bit of thing in between because there's quite a lot of. Like I said, there's 3 or 4 decent sides in Wigan, so there was all getting a chance at the service area and things like that. So there was always still a bit of a competitive rivalry, if you will, even though you might be at one side. So that was definitely present now.
Yeah, and what standards did you hit, Greg, on your way up? So did you go from town to county? Did you play a county and talk us through that? And
if I'm honest, pal, when I was younger, I did work. I worked really hard at it. So I'm a bit of a hermit, really. Like a lot of my mates would be going out and whatever, but I was very dedicated to that. No, I want to be best as I can. So I sort of any sort of milestone, I would say, right, I want to get there. I pretty much got picked for everything. Every rep side I would get picked for. I got picked for service area. Then the next thing would be. You'd sort of if you was good enough, you get through to the regional camps, which were like Hogwarts in Blackpool, this weird Ross Hall it was called. It was this old weird boarding school, and it was. I used to hate the camp because it was like you got field for like 9 hours, and it was like, oh, this is what it's like to be professional. I'm like, if it is, I don't want to be professional. It was like, and then it was ridiculous. And then I was on scholarship and things like that, so. And then you go back to Scotland and you'd be like at Wigan and you go, is that what it's like being professional? And they'd be like, no, they're in 2 hours and they're home. It's like, well, but again, that was the thing. So you get to regional camp, you do 3 or 4 days there, you have a game at the end. Then they would pick a side from that, which was like a northwest Lancashire type team. And then you went to like a regional carnival in Sheffield, which was like over a weekend. So you play Yorkshire, Cumbria, combined regions, which is just the rest of wherever, like London, East, North East, and all this. And then from that, they'd pick another, they'd whittle it down again, and you'd have like a national camp. And then the year after that, it was the same thing, but that led into an England side then, like an England youth or England schoolboys, and and that just sort of. I always got myself onto them camps because I worked hard at it, to be fair. So I always remember the one going into the England youth, so under 15s it will have been. Yeah. So they always had like a game just after Christmas. You would have a game against the under 15s England side. Would have a game against the under 16s. And I was like, if I don't play in this game, I'm not going to, because I hurt my ankle at the time. That's why I was thinking, so if I don't play in this game, I'm not going to get picked. And the scholarship physio at Wigan was like, if I give you this to do, you'll give yourself a chance. It was all over Christmas. It was, obviously I was 14, 13, something like that, 14, I think. And you forgive yourself for a 14-year-old just thinking, oh, well, I'm going to just toss it off. I'm going to eat loads of chocolate, play my PlayStation and just have a chill. But to be fair, that week, a lot of Boxing Day, and I was on this field just doing like these rehab drills and things like that. I bet people were looking, thinking, "What's this fool doing?" I was there with my dad. It's freezing cold, muddy pitch, just doing these rehab. But anyway, it paid off. I ended up getting to play the game, and I got picked again. So just little things like that sort of instilled that work ethic type thing. I think it sort of it put me in good stead for moving on.
Yeah, because obviously you sacrificed a lot from a young age, haven't you? Like you said, your mates are probably out boozing, PlayStation, chocolate, whatever. But them little things at that age, like you said, are working out now because you're making them little contributions now, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%, pal. At the time, you go into school and be, "Oh, you didn't see you at weekend," and that. I'm like, "No, I'm playing a game, or I'm getting ready to play a game." Like, "Oh, right, okay." And then you say stuff like, "Oh, why do you like your rugby so much? I'll go play rugby." People would laugh and say, "Hey, of course you are." Like, "All right, we'll see." And then these same people who laughed are like, "Well, yeah, you see them sometimes. I've cut on a Tuesday up Wigan Town, and it's like, yeah, that's sort of where we've gone." So
yeah, that's how it's worked out, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, was you on the scholarship from a young age, mate? When did the scholarship kick in? And
I think the scholarship was under 13s, so 13-year-old Dean Bell and Brian Foley were the sort of the youth type coaches, if you will. Yeah. They were the ones who sort of got, you had an initial group, and I got on the first year. And sort of stayed on till I was 16. So I stayed at Wigan till I was 16, and obviously, to be fair, that was always. I look back at that time. That's probably one of the things that helped me as a, if you will, more of a my skill level, I can play.
Yeah, you can play a pivot if you have to.
Yeah. I think that's definitely it's where it all comes from. That really, because that's all they did. For all the scholarships, a bit talent like lads when you go on these things and saying to lads, "Oh, we do weights, blah blah blah." We didn't do any weight. We didn't do one weight session in scholarship. It was literally just skills, just passing, catching, everything. That's all. It was just all skill based. Right. But when you come together on these camps, you could always tell who the Wigan lads were, because they sort of had a bit. Yeah, they had a bit about them really with the skills. So they weren't as big as everyone, because obviously we didn't do any weight. But
you could help by them.
Yeah.
So do you know each of these steps you're in? Are you feeling a level up in standard, or because you're already playing that level on I'll say a Sunday for club? It is, without knowing, you are probably climbing that ladder, but you're playing against them lads week in, week out. Do you notice the difference as you're climbing the ladder?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's more. I think it was probably you probably get more confident in your own ability as well, but you definitely notice a change. So you'd be playing on a Sunday, then you go and play on these camps, and you're like, "Oh, that's it. These men are good." And you sort of have a bit of that thing where you think, "Well, this might be one step too far," and just see how you go, that type of thing. So you definitely noticeable steps along the way of you need to perform better, or you need to do a bit more to keep yourself going in the right direction, really. That was definitely something you could sort of sense, but again, it's just all part of the journey, isn't it? You really got to. The more you rise, you've sort of got to rise yourself. If you get what I mean, you've got to put a bit more into it. And
to the viewers and listeners, to ease the layman's terms without being rude to them, is at one level they might want to rip your head off and smash you, fly from Z and do damage. The level up, they'll fly from X. They'll go a little bit lower, and then the level up again is they just want to kill the ball, don't they? And then try and win the wrestle, and then that's how it gets speed and technicalities, isn't it? Yeah.
So it goes from literally just brutality, like no rugby in it, just take him out, and it all and that's it. The sort of, as you go up the level, so
the intricacies change, don't they?
That's it. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So when did any other club circle you at the end of the scholarship, or was it always going to be Wigan for you?
Well, I had a chat, I think, with Warrington or Peter Farrell. Andrew's dad. I think he was one of the scouts at the time. Just coming into that sort of age. It was only a brief chat, though. There was nothing concrete ever come from it. And then there was one where I went to Salford because my England coach was Alan Hunt,
Right.
and he was at the time, I think he was maybe over the scholarship or over the academy or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But he was the equivalent at Salford.
Yeah.
And I think out of the courtesy really of, because he was my coach and I got along with Alan, I was like, I'm going to go and see what he says. And it was a really honest, and it was a good chat from him. And he was like, we could see you doing a couple of years, we could see you jumping up, because I think at the time Jordan Turner, he'd sort of come from the academy and he jumped straight into the first team after a couple of years. So there was like, we could see you doing this here. And it was all, as a kid, you're like, oh, it's brilliant to hear and things like that. They think so highly of you. But I think, being honest, it was just that I'm a Wigan kid. I want to play for Wigan. You sort of do. You get these cherry and white glasses put on, and they sort of get glued to your face when you're a kid.
The dream.
They just never come off. They're like, oh, cherry and white, oh, Wigan, I want to play for Wigan, blah, blah, blah. You get sold it all, and that's just where I was. I was like, so I thanked him and stuff. They offered me more money, to be fair.
Yeah.
And again, looking back, probably should have took that. But no,
it's mad how things work out, isn't it, mate?
That's it. Yeah. If I'd have took that, then the career wouldn't have, all the things I've got from my career wouldn't have happened. So it's one of them.
So how did he reach out, mate? Did he get in touch with your mum and dad, did he? And
yeah, he will have done, yeah. He said, we would like a meeting with you and your son if you would like to think you want to try and sign him. Right. So that's how they sort of came about it. And then obviously I think they had my number from the camps and they had my mum and dad's number from the camps in case anything went wrong. So obviously they could, and then these sort of people could, if they want to try and sign kids, then they can use these numbers and speak to the parents and stuff. So that's how it came.
So what was the day like when you signed your first forms at Wigan, mate? Was you then centre spread in the paper and that?
Well, I wish it was. It ended up being like a bloody, where was it? It was in East Stand at DW. It was in this little back room. My dad still got the picture because it was obviously a very proud moment for him, but it's just in this little room, no windows or nothing. Loads of cardboard boxes full of all like
stats and that.
And I'm there signing this piece of paper like I've just signed for Man United or something on Sky Sports News.
So what's the process when you first signed, mate? What did he do? Did he tell you? So would it have been academy, to us reserves or under 21s or whatever?
Yeah, it was. I was still at school. I was 16-year-old, and I was probably assigned because I think the academy season started like the Super League season, so it would have been February. Yeah. So I had maybe 3 or 4 months left of high school before I finished. So I was still there then, and I remember I'd gone from literally playing for under 16s and Rose Bridge and whatnot to once their season finished, it was like, right, you signed here, we're paying you now, obviously, so if we need you, you're going to play. Yeah. Not expecting to play because they didn't really play the 16-year-olds a lot. But I remember one week, they literally just said, with low on numbers, you're going to play. It was against Widnes, Widnes Rugby Union. Oh, that was my first academy game.
Right.
Yeah, it was...
not the worst setup, mate, to be fair, is it?
Hey, no, it was all right. Yeah. It was a nice day too, which is rare in Widnes. It was all right. It was a good pitch. I think our coach was up on, it's like an embankment on one side.
Yeah.
He was up on that side. I was like, oh, this is, obviously, you wearing a Wigan kit and they lay out, even academy, they lay out your kit, and I'm like, how good's all this? This is mega this. But it was literally that. They put my kit out, little bottle of water and things like that. And to me, it was like, oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, the bright first sign of the big time.
Yeah, it was, looking back again, it's just sort of, just normal really, but it's, as a kid, you sort of starstruck by it. You think, oh, I'm on my way type thing.
You might have been on a bench, mate. He was sat on a bunch of nettles. Don't worry about that on that embankment. So when you're rocking up, so like your first academy game there, mate, how was you before the game? Was you relaxed? Did you just back what you'd done in a week, or?
I was very nervous then. Because obviously I was thinking, you're playing for Wigan, and you're getting paid now as well. It weren't much, obviously, because it's only a part-time 16-year-old wage, so it's not much at all. But you are still getting paid, so you've got to do a job. I had all that in my head, and probably got a bit too in my own head, really. You know, put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure I play well. But I think I've got nervous quite a lot when I was younger.
Right.
But obviously, once you get playing and once you get into the game, it's all that soon goes. So it's just, I'd have a little, and as well, they always had. I don't know who did it, but they had. I think like the team manager got us like this sponsorship type thing with Subway. So they used to have these baguettes on the bus. They stunk, because they're full of onion. They stunk of onion. So that's all I remember from that first year. Yeah. All the academy games is just going on a bus, nervous as anything, feeling sick, but just smelling like onion. And I was like, just throw them away till after, like, put them in old or something. Get them away.
Yeah. It's bad what sticks with you, mate.
It is. Yeah. Something random like that, but it sticks with me.
So I'm quite sentimental. If I was any good, mate, I'd have kept stuff. So you mentioned your dad's got that photo. Is that something you have done as a family, kept them little mementos, mate?
Yeah, we have there. They've still got my mum and dad up in their front room. They've got my debut, 2-plig debut shirt framed from Wigan. That's on the wall. What else have they got? They got like a little picture from when I played for England, like when I was under 16s England. So,
your Pew moustache, was it? Was it the Pew moustache? Yeah, the Pew moustache. Yeah, was it?
No, there wasn't. No, actually, that was what year was that? Under 16s. Yeah. So, yeah. But no,
I weren't lucky enough to have that, mate. I had to went to school with Richie, got it all, so he was all right. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, they've got all sorts. They've got recently they've got my grand final medal, runners-up medal, and then went in 2013 at Wigan. Obviously, I played quite a lot. I didn't play in the grand final, but I played a lot of the season for Wigan. So they said, Luke, you said you've played a lot. You deserve one. So I got one of the rings as well. So they've got that at home. Yeah, so I didn't play, but it probably means a bit more to them than it does me. But you know, that's what it is. They've sort of got all that. So yeah,
it's a nice memory, mate, innit?
That's it. That's the one.
So, like you've said, during your spell at Wigan, mate, you had a few loans. So I always ask people how did you treat a loan when it come about? So regardless of who it was, did you see it as game time, or did you see it as I'm a Wigan lad, I want to cut it here, really?
Yeah, I mean, my first full-time season was 2012. I didn't play a game. So I played a lot of games for like South Wales or for the reserves.
Right.
Which were they were dual reg, so obviously they weren't a bit different to a loan in terms of, you know, you were Wigan all week and then you just go down and play for a team in dual reg.
Yeah.
And then my next year, which was when I played in 2013, that's when I made my debut, and so I played quite a lot then.
Yeah. How was that, mate? How was that?
What sort of playing that
your
year?
first team debut and being around people we'd have grew up watching, wouldn't you? And
that's it. It was lucky, really, because I remember that I can remember driving into training, just going, and I was buzzing to be 19th man, or 18th man, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Basically warming up with team. I was like, I'm in squad. I'm doing all right. I'm getting somewhere. I'm in squad. I'm warming up. And I remember driving into training, and I didn't have my an old Punto then, so I didn't have Bluetooth and all that, so literally going off, I wouldn't know. So then I sort of driving into training and whatnot, and then I pull in, park up, and then I pick my phone up, and I've got like about 4 or 5 missed calls off Yestin, our assistant coach. Why is he ringing me? I'm early. I thought, am I late or something? What's going on? Anyway, so I've gone in. I walked in, and then they're like, yes, I think Yestin said, I thought Yestin said, wait, yeah, I want you in the office. So I walked straight past Wayne. Obviously, but what he'd said is, Wayne wants you in the office.
You just blanked him.
I've gone straight past him. All right, Sean, walk past him, and he's like, Luke past him. I'm basically saying, what's he doing?
Yeah.
And I went, you're right, yes. He's like, yeah, Sean wants you in. all right, is that what he's like? Yeah. So like, right, get in here. So I've gone to the office, and he's like, Precky's out, you're playing. And I was like, what fucking hell? I gone from so happy to be warming up to just gone through the roof. Yeah. And he was like, you've done everything what I've asked of you in pre-season, and I know we're playing Warrington tomorrow, which at the time they were like probably Wigan's, biggest rival. He said, but I'm more than comfortable putting you in. You'll be on bench, but you'll play. So and obviously I'll come out, rang my mum and dad, and they were obviously absolutely over the moon. And then I just got my head round playing, and I remember driving to the game like sort of nervous and I wasn't nervous actually. I was quite relaxed. But I was driving to the game. There's loads of traffic and everything. I'm going, I'm going to play for Wigan here. Why are you so chill, right? Yeah, Greg. And I just talked myself into getting really nervous then. And literally, I sat on bench and I'm watching game going, wouldn't be that bad if I didn't get on. Like, wouldn't be that bad. And then literally, time comes, Jack Hughes has got a caught leg, and they're like, Greg, you're on. I was like, right, fair enough. Probably the best way, really, because I didn't have a chance to be nervous. They just went, you're on, boom. So,
well, you just after an early carry then, mate, aren't you?
That was it. I went on and just got ball early as I could, ran as hard as I could. When I defended, tackled as I could, and then just sort of eased my way into it. 17 apiece, I think, against Warrington it was. So, played against like bloody Morley and all Ben Westwood and all these sort of kids. Kids. I mean, these players I'd seen as a kid, and was like, trying to emulate, if you will, and watching Morley and RL like knocking heads off and things like that, and now I'm playing against him. It was surreal, but it was like it was a proper good moment that.
Yeah, but it was, mate. So did that just fly by as well? And next minute you're in the changing rooms, and how were people with you after that first game?
To be fair, that was probably the most satisfying thing, was because I went back in, and everyone was just coming up and like sort of shaking my hand and sort of giving me like hugs and stuff, and just basically saying like, well played. Like and to be fair, there was an honest group as well there. If you didn't play well, they won't tell you, just for the sake of it. You'd be looking round, hoping to catch someone's eye, and it'd be just be like, if you knew you'd had a bad game, you'd be hoping for a bit of sympathy. You wouldn't get none. So no, they were honest group, and they all come over and said, well played. You've had a good game there. So it could have ideally we would have won, but you'll take a draw if you will. Yeah,
what an experience, mate, isn't it? Definitely. So realistically, after that, did you have a figure in your head? I want to make 5 games. I want to make another one. I want to make 100. What was the target?
I mean, for that season, it was just literally just play as many as you can. I had no sort of there was nothing in my head as like I want to play this many, or it was just literally just because it was my first sort of season. I was just like, I just want to play as much as I can, and if you don't pick me for certain games, that's fine, but I'll work to get myself back in. And that's pretty much how I went about that first season. If anything, that was probably my most enjoyable as well. Just because I think once I got that, I was playing with a bit of freedom, because I was a bit naive to it all, really, because I didn't really know how I should be feeling, how I should be acting, how much respect I should be giving people. I was just sort of just going out, enjoying it, really, and just playing. So, probably, and obviously they won 2 trophies, so they did all, the team itself did okay as well.
Yeah. So you've just touched on that about the trophies, and when them big weeks come along, mate, I've had a few on, and they say, as much as you all try and say at the time, it's just another game, it's just another build-up. It totally isn't. So how for a young lad is it playing for his hometown team in them big occasions, and what are the week building up to it like?
Yeah, I mean, so I think with the 2 finals, I didn't manage to play in those, but you just knew there was a definite change in everyone's attitude in that week. And like you said, people say, "Oh, it's just another week. Treat it," but no one does. I mean, it's all bullshit. That it's all for media or press or whatever, just to make it seem like they're not being trying to get too ahead of themselves or whatever. But you can just see it, the intensity in training. I can remember the week before the cup final because he didn't really know his pack. He knew roundabout, but I remember, and there was about 5 or 6 middles who were fit and had a good chance of playing. And I just remember like everybody just ramping up, running full pelt, and usually it's like bodies in front in defence, and it was all just full on. It was full, and I think when he had to sort of pull people back a bit and say, "Listen, in cup final in a couple of days, chill out." But no, there's 100% a different vibe around them weeks, and then once you know your side, obviously we as younger lads we knew sort of the ones who weren't playing. We just sort of go down and we enjoyed the occasion. We had to do the promos and stuff around. They had like that year they had a big promo in Trafalgar Square. So like me, Gels, Dom Freddie, Andy Powell as well. He was with us.
Yeah.
He was a rum case, that fella.
He is. He done a sportsman's at the club, mate. He's a good lad, like
top man. He is a top fella on there. But yeah, he was like, oh, I know a few places around here, boys. Should we go for a swim now? It's 11 o'clock, pal.
Means out down there, does it?
Well, that's it. And he was just like, but yeah, I mean, we did other things as well, and like we did like a thing for was it BBC or the RFL? The RFL, they had like so the night before the game, they had like a Thames cruise, if you will. But they had like a little bit of a drinks reception type thing on it. Hull FC, we obviously were playing Hull FC. They were meant to send something. They didn't send anybody, so it was just basically all those Wigan lads, like young kids, with all these sort of like the president at RFL or whatever, BBC, and all these other people. And there's like it's just free drinks. Everyone's just like, we're all drinking. Andy Powell's got 2 glasses of wine, boom, lobbing glass off the side of the. It was absolute mayhem. But it was, it's good when you look back.
Time of your life, though, isn't it? Yeah.
That's it. Especially for me, because I'd never really been to London. I've been a couple of times, but like we're all here, like this mad cruise going under Tower Bridge and all that. It's just little things like that. It's not bad for a little kid from Wigan.
No, that's exactly it, mate, innit? So, like I said, I touched on it there, and our loan to Bradford comes, done it, which is a big move, innit? Obviously, they are where they are now, a bit like we are, but they're still a big club. Is that something you embraced? Did you just see that as part of your development, or?
Well, yeah, I did. I fully envisaged it to be. I think I played for Wigan on the Sunday. I got a phone call off Shaw on Monday, and he was like, right, we've got a few bodies back playing. Probably not going to play as much. I want you to go out and get some minutes. But in Super League, I don't want you playing low. I want you to play for a good side. And all right, okay. He said, you're going to go to Bradford for a month. I was like, sound. Like, no worries. I'll go and I'll crack on. So I went that Sunday. We had that chat Monday, sorry. So then I go Tuesday, train Wednesday, train Thursday, play Friday, dislocate my shoulder in the game. And I'm like, how good's this? So I was literally boom, it's popped out. I've never dislocated it before, but I was just literally in a heap on the floor. Couldn't move, and they're all like, the referee's just play the ball. I'm like, I can't move, mate. I'm literally, I'm lying on the ball and I can't move. So anyway, it gets time off, take me off. Like, yeah, you dislocated it. So that was it. I was literally back at Wigan on the Saturday, and Wigan were like, we're going to do your rehab for you, but you'll go back when you're fit. Again, thought, right, no worries. But then in the meantime, Bradford struggled quite a bit. And Franny Cummins got sacked, so the new coach obviously didn't know me, and that was it. I didn't go anywhere. So I think I went to Workington for the rest of the season then, which, yeah, it's I enjoyed because it's a completely different game altogether up there. They're very, very tribal in Cumbria, to say the least.
Yeah. Bit of an eye opener as well, like facility wise and stuff.
Not so bad. Like walking back in time sometimes, but again, it's all part of the learning curve, and it gives you a bit of character, I think. So
yeah, probably appreciate what you've got a bit more as well when you go back. Yeah,
definitely, 100%.
How would you been with injuries before the shoulder, mate? Was that your first big one, or?
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
What I had before that? Only when I was a kid. I mean, I broke my collarbone when I was a kid, but apart from that, I'd had nothing really. I was quite fortunate. That was my first one, my first decent, like, you know, I've done a decent job there. So yeah. Apart from that, I broke my nose a few times. I managed to get to about, what was I? Got to about 18. Thought with it, no one touching my nose, and my own player did it. Short kick off. He just jumped up, stuck his elbow up for some reason. He got bang straight on my conch, and I feel it like that. As soon as I landed, I went, broke that. Come down.
Friendly fire.
Yeah. And then since then, Christ alive, I must have broken about 10 times. It's been all over my face. It's back straight now.
Yeah, I'm going to say, it's like, no offence to it, it's not a Briscoe nose,
no, it's not. No, it's not that bad under his eye. But I think it's just been knocked from pillar to post.
So how, being a young lad, because you still are now, but then, how was the first injury played its toll on you? And if you accepted it as part of the game, or is it a bit of a kick in the nuts?
No, I think it was probably that. I think I just sort of accepted it, really. I think, because again, it's another one of them things. I'd never had one. I just sort of was like, I'll take it and I'll try and get back. They said, oh, we'll be so long. I said, oh, I'll try and get back a bit, you know, a week or two early if I can. In hindsight, it ended up taking quite a while. But, you know, it is one of them things, isn't it? You just got to make sure you're right before you play again. And especially, I think Wigan probably erred on the conservative side as well in some aspects, because you know, you're a kid as well, so they don't want to just be throwing you back in when there's no need to do. They want me to be right and ready to go. Which again, looking back, is probably, you know, it's probably at the time you're thinking, I want to be back in, but you know, they take a bit more time to look after you, and you know, it's probably for your best interest, really.
Yeah, well, maybe at another club, mate, with not the resources, rush you back, and you never know.
I've had that as well. Since, so.
I bet you have, mate. Yeah. So what's the chat when you come back from Workington? Is another loan move on the cards, or is it just something that come when it come?
Well, that was literally like, I think it was more like a dual Reds. That I don't know if it was a loan as such, because we didn't at the time. I don't think they had reserves and stuff then. All that had gone. Yeah. So that was like I'd train with Wigan in a week, and then they said, like, you go up to Workington this week. But near the end of it, I remember coming back, being in and around the changing room. I think he might have put me in squad when I come back off. I played quite a few games for him, but he was going into playoffs, and I put me in a squad. And it was the assistant coach come to me and said, you know what, you deserve it. He said, you've been going up there and you've been playing really well. That's why he's put you in. But he said, obviously, he's not put you into play. He said, but just know that you're not far off. Like, you know, if there is anyone drops out or gets injured, he said he's more than happy to put you in. So, fair play, you've done a good job. So I had that in my head. And then obviously at the end of that season, I didn't play as much as I wanted to be fair. I didn't play many games. I think I played 6 games for Wigan that year. So yeah, I didn't play as much as I wanted to, and I think a good. I think I went to KR. Well, I did go to KR. I didn't want to at the time. Yeah, I had that thing like what I was on a bit earlier with the cherry white glasses on. I don't want to leave. If I leave, they'll never take me back, and all this ridiculous chat in my head. Yeah, but to be fair, it was the best thing I ever did.
Right. So do you think you can probably do yourself a little bit of harm by doing? I'm not saying you go anywhere to play by Greg, but do you think you can do too well somewhere?
I think you could do, yeah. I mean, that's... yeah, I think that's the thing. I think sometimes... You could, like... what was that one time? I ended up playing for like 3 or 4. But you can end up being like pushed from pillar to post for different teams each week, you know. Like just end up, you're like, what am I doing here? Because I'm trying to play so that I can play for this team who's paying me money, not go and play for whoever. Yeah. But it's just the way the game was at the time. Like, there was no reserves, there was no nothing. It was just a bit of a shit show, really, because you just ended up getting sent to these teams and your coach is telling you, why don't you do this? But the way they play is completely different. So yeah, they want you doing that, and then he'll say, "Boys played well for me," and then your coach back at your club will be like, "No, he's not. He's not done this. Blah, blah, blah. I told you to do this." It's like, what am I meant to do? What am I meant to do here? Yeah, it's just a bit. You're dragged from everywhere, really, and
And don't forget, probably, without being rude, probably people at the clubs you've gone to are thinking he's coming up and doing a captain's run and playing. And I'm here like 4 times a week.
Yeah, 100%. That's you probably get that as well. I mean, you never get it to your face, but some of them might be, they might be thinking that, and it's sort of in a way you sort of get it as well because they're part-time lads and they're grafting they're doing some proper graft for a living, so they're grafting and then they're getting a bit of a, I don't know, they're getting what they enjoy. They're going to play rugby, and then some young kid from Wigan or wherever, Saints, or comes up and it's like, wait, what's going on here? Why am I not fucking playing?
Yeah, no, that's it, isn't it? Yeah,
that in it definitely.
Yeah. So you just mentioned OKR being something that worked out really good for you, but what convinced you in the end to go up there and talk to us why it turned out to be such a good move?
Yeah, it was. So it all started on. It started on the Mad Monday. So Blake Green obviously had been at KR, and it was one of them. We're sort of walking from the next one venue to the next, and he just pulled me one side. I'm thinking, what's up? What's he getting all serious for now? And he's like, oh, my dad, Chesney's been on the phone. Wants you for next year. I'm like, don't be talking to you about rugby, Green. It's like, last thing I want to talk about. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm just telling you, like, he's really keen on watching next year. I'm like, well, I'm not bothered. Like, put it to the back burner. I thought, if I don't speak, I woke up day after and like, did I dream that or not? And I'm thinking, oh, no one said anything, I'll be fine. Anyway, 4 weeks later, I get a phone call from club and they're like, okay, I want you for next year, and we think it'd be good for you. And I'm just thinking, okay, it's miles away.
It's a trek, yeah.
It's a proper trek, and I'm thinking, wow, like, what's going on here? The Wigan not want me or what? Or you get all them daft little things like so when you're a Wigan kid and they don't want me no more. And anyway, long story short, I went and had a drive up to see Chesney and had a good chat. They just told me about how he thinks I can play and the way they wanted to play. And they were signing all these players and stuff that were like sort of maverick type players, that, like Albert Kelly and like they signed Terry Campese. He was late, but they signed Kensio. And I was like, some of them, I don't know who these are because I don't really watch NRL.
Yeah.
But once I watched the clips of them and stuff, I was like, oh, actually, they look like a decent side. These. What is assembling? Anyway, so I said, you know what, I'm going to go. I'm going to give it a go. It'll do me good anyway to get out of Wigan and get out of my comfort zone a bit, really. So I had to sort of. Daz Goulding was going. He's a great bloke, so I had that bit of home comfort, if you will. I had someone I knew that were there. Yeah. But apart from that, it was just it was go out to as far away as you can in Super League and get to use. But again, once I got there, pal, it was I absolutely loved it. They're probably are the loudest fans, I think, in once they get going in that ground, and they create an atmosphere. That's why I was on about it actually the other week, thinking about my career. I'm thinking I'm playing like 10, 11 years now. I've played up in top league, and I've never ever gone to KR. And apart from one game, Easter Monday, when I was at Wigan, we beat them 84-6, but obviously it's a short turnaround.
Yeah,
a lot of factors could pop into it. But apart from that, I've never ever gone there and won. Or if we win, it's a close, proper dogfight of a game. Yeah. And on the flip side, when I was there for that year, I think we lost 2 games at home. It's just like it's. To be fair,
it's a fortress.
Fortress. Yeah, it's a good place for them. So, but yeah, it's I proper enjoyed it. I mean, they got to a cup final that year, so yeah, it was a little mad year, but it was good.
Yeah. So we'll touch on a few derbies that you played in later on in your career when we touch on them. But what are derby weeks like, and where did the Wigan Saints derby rank? Where did the whole derby rank? Did you played Widnes Warrington games? What are them games like?
I would say Wigan Saints is more of like what would you say? Like a bit of a friend. It is like a friendly rivalry, I think. in terms of they don't like each other, but they can still have I can still have a laugh with each other. Like Wigan Saints fans, they can walk around side at pitch or whatever, and they'll have a laugh after the game.
Yeah.
Whereas Hull and KR, it was proper hate. They hate each other, which is like I remember we beat them in around Easter. I'm sure one of the lads had gone for like a McDonald's or something after the game. And I'm sure someone's took a picture and sent it to the club saying, your players are in McDonald's, doing it being a LFC fan, something like that. And our coach is like, listen, just watch what you're doing, lads, after the game, because this is how it is in the city. You know, like, I think it was like one of the Polynesian lads, and they were like, why I'm only going for a match. And he's like, yeah, no, but just watch what you're doing, because they don't like each other, these fans. So anything they can to try and trip each other up, they will. And I was like, this is stay away from these lot. And again, it was, and that's another thing they said. If you ever go on that side, just don't go in Hull. That year, you're just like just go to Leeds or just go wherever, but just don't go in Hull because you're just walking in. Really. There's a bit more to it, I think, in terms of the dislike. But I'd still say Wigan and Saints that's the only one that's proper. Like, I don't know. I got my first one was on 2013 Good Friday, and it was rammed. Not
many bigger games than that, mate. Is there a Good Friday derby?
That's it. It was something. It was something else that it was. And I remember, like, I was on the bench, and I remember Lockers was bloody hell. His ribs were falling off. He was getting pain-killing jabs, and he's like, he's not come out for warm up for ages. And I'm thinking, if he's not playing, I'm starting here. So I'm in my head, and I'm begging. I'm thinking, just come out, just so I can, because I just got my head around playing, not starting. Yeah. I was like, just anyway, got me back to it, and then it was like something like wrestling. You know, like when they come running out,
little ring walk,
and you see your hands erupt, and he just comes running out like that. Oh, here he is, and then he's playing and killing it like he always did. So it was like Hulk Hogan come running out. But no, I'd say Wigan Saints, definitely that was probably the biggest. But yeah, the old KR ones were tasty as well.
Right. So when you've come back from that one, mate, what's that discussion like? Because you've mentioned Wayne a little bit, and he sounds pretty direct and honest, and you said that about that group of players. So what are them chats like when the end of the season or the start of the season comes round? Was it a mutual thing you're leaving, or would they have kept you in?
Which one, pal? What do you mean when I came back to Wigan, or?
Yeah. So do you know when you've come back after your KR or?
Yeah.
What does that chat consist of? Is there a mutual? Because you sign for witness, then, don't you?
Well, no, I did. I stayed at Wigan that year. You see, I signed for witness the middle of the next year.
Right.
So I stayed. I stayed for the start of 2016, and to be fair, I played quite a lot of games that year. Played leading up to going to witness. And that's one of the things he said. He said, you've come back and you've matured as a bloke and as a player, and I'm happy. And I think just near the back end of it, I just sort of thought whether I got in my head or because I was trying to earn another deal. I think I probably just, probably got in my own head a bit and weren't quite hitting the performances that Wayne wanted. And I was doing a job, but I don't think I was getting to where I knew I could be and where he thought I could be. So, and I think, like, being honest, I think they were, as a club, I think they were going to sign Frank Paul, I think, at the time as well. So I think once they put sort of 2 and 2 together and thought, well, we're not going to probably keep, we're not going to keep Greg, and we need to get Frank Paul over. And it just sort of came about. And then obviously I'm starting to look for the year after. And Dennis came and said, well, we'd like to take Greg and like to take him for next year, but we'll take him now as well for the rest of this year. And that's pretty much how it came about.
Pretty straightforward and easy, was it, mate?
Yeah, it was. To be fair, I went and met, because obviously the club said, they were sort of, they were thinking about getting Frank Paul in. So they were like, it'd be good for him to go now because he'd probably be going there next year. And I was like, yeah, I get it. But reading between the lines, that's sort of where they were going.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, well, Dennis, I'm going to go because you want to go where you wanted at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he was keen to take me, so that's how it came about. And yeah, and I think it was July of 2016. I went to Widnes.
And how are you in new environments? Is it because you're stepping up into possibly a senior role now, aren't you? And
yeah,
you are maturing. Your game is getting better.
Yeah,
you play some really good stuff as well at Widnes. So how was that new environment?
Good, to be fair, because it was that, like what you just said. I mean, I've gone from being sort of definitely seen as a young lad. So you try and do things in games when I was at Wigan, or you try and take a bit of control of certain areas of playing shapes or whatnot, and you just get sort of a lot of the time you get overruled by other people, and because they'd look at you and think, I'm not listening to you, basically, because you was a kid or you've seen as a younger kid, and that's just how it was, which was a detriment to you as well. Because I've said this a few times, like there's people who I'm not the best, like I'm by no means the best runner of the ball. Like there's people who can run a ball a hell of a lot better than me, but I can play a bit more better than other players. And it's not to say that they can't play with the ball, but it's like horses for courses type thing. People are better at some things, and and that's fine. Yeah. But you should all be playing. For me, you should all be playing to each other's strengths and trying to. That's how you get the best out of your team. But I think because it's that thing about playing, everyone gets that. Oh, I can pass, I can do this and that, but a lot of people can't, and they can't, not to a good standard. Which, yeah, and I think just them little things sort of. But then once I got to with this, I think Kev was obviously he was the main man, the halfback, and he seen that I had that bit of skill, and he's like, you know what, okay, and he had that as well in him, where he'd say, I want the ball at Burke really, because he's got the better pass, and I can get my game off the back of him, sort of I can play my game better. So he sort of led that in a way. But and to be fair, the rest of them, like they were all good lads. Like they sort of realised, was like, you can play a bit, and like you had Chris Houstons and them type of players. They were like, no, you run the play and I'll run off you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't do it all the time, but there was definitely like a good understanding between the players. What we all could do for each other and try and help each other. Just a shame that couldn't obviously be kept, and sort of we couldn't build on that year because they had a good season that year. I mean, we got to middle the Super 8s and turned Wigan over as well in that. I mean, so just a shame we couldn't build on it.
Yeah. So do you reckon you probably had a bit of a free role in that middle third then, mate? So you could play out the back of them lead runners and let Kev play a bit wider.
Definitely that first year, yeah. I think it was definitely driven by Kev because of the way he plays. But yeah, it was a bit more free to sort of play a bit and to find a pass to him and create a bit of width for everyone.
Yeah. And do you think you come into your own a bit more, like you've said, like permanently stepping away from Wigan? It's every kid's dream, mate, to win things or playing them big moments for your own club, and you very much done that. But you were allowed to be Greg Burke. You weren't the local kid. You weren't a kid. You were you now, and you're imposing yourself.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, more so in that first year because I mean. Yeah, definitely. That first year I was proper enjoying it, and obviously, the year after I had a bit of a 2017. It weren't the best year for me that at Widnes, but there's a bit more to it than just not playing well. There's other things as well. So, but especially that year it was good because I had that. I was confident as well because I had that thing where I found a team that I can use my best attributes and. They're sort of well received as well. Yeah. I knew I'd found a way to get them into the game, if you will. That's the best way of putting it. Yeah, I could do it at Wigan, but I couldn't do it as often because of certain things. So yeah, I think that's how it was. Yeah.
And are you feeling like we touched on before? You're not a screamer and you don't talk for talking's sake, but are you getting to a stage where when you speak, you listen to?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think as well. you do have that sort of, you have a bit of, not umph, but because you come from a high ranking team, if you will, come from Wigan and St. I've seen it since when I've been at clubs, or you get lads who come from. So when I was at Salford and we had Cal come from, obviously he'd been NRL, been at Leeds and everything. Well, Cal's the same. He'll not speak often, but when he speaks, everyone turns around and listens, and it's like one of them type of things because he's been there and done it. He's been up there. He's been at the top. He's been in a top team, so you listen to him a bit more. And I think there was an essence of that. Obviously, no, I'm not saying everyone listened to me or anything, but there was certainly I could get my points across, and I could see people taking on board a bit sometimes, which was, there was that side of it too.
Well, you've come from a winning environment and culture, mate. It'd be rude not to, wouldn't they?
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, I think they realise that as well. So,
yeah. So you had. We'll skip 17 then, mate. It weren't too enjoyable for you, many reasons, but your exit baffled me, and I don't know if you know, but a lot of Witness fans, that deal seemed a crazy deal. It did. I don't know if it did to you either, and whether you want to speak about it, and that's up to you, but I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand. Weller's a good player, there was no doubt in that, mate. But I think he'd already agreed his next move, hadn't he?
Yeah,
we've lost. Not only you, Chamber went with you, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's like what? It doesn't make any playing sense or business sense to the everyday fan. I'm not saying you're any more wiser than not to that, but was it a surprise when it come about? Because it's a baffling move. That
it was, to be fair, pal. Because obviously that year I played pretty much every game.
Yeah.
League before that. And I was either starting or playing, basically. So I was coming off bench or whatever, I was playing. And then, obviously, Dennis got sacked. I think it was after Wakefield. I think we played Wakefield, and I think that was they decided to let him go. And then I'd been negotiating with Widnes to stay, but then obviously when Dennis left, I think that heard nothing for a bit.
Yeah.
But also, you have to look after yourself, and Watto was after me at Salford. Yeah. So in them weeks, that week after, it weren't much. It all just sort of snowballed quick, and the club was like, "Oh no, we're putting everything on hold now." Blah blah blah. Salford were like, "We want you." So I was like, "You know what? They want me, so I'm going. I'm going to have to go."
Yeah.
Sort myself out, and that's what it is. And then we're coming for training. And then get brought in the office by coach at Franny, and he said, "Oh, Salford want you now, and we can get a player in return. So you and Ed are going to go." I was like, "Well, I'd want to stay for the rest of the year, to be fair, because we're in a bit of a mess, and I want to make sure we get out of it. Because if I can, I want to help anyway. Basically, if I can't, I want to help because still my teammates at the end of the day."
Yeah.
Oh no, we've got this chance to sign him well, hierarchy, and we want him because of the way he wants to play and things like that. He'll play 80 minutes or whatever. And I was like, and that, in my head, I'm thinking, right. So well, if that's the way you want it, then I'm going to a side who's a bit higher up as well. So it's not as much pressure on myself. It's not as much panic, if you will. I'm thinking, but you're letting two players go as well, so you're losing.
It's mad.
But I knew as well that because Watto had told me that Weller had already signed for KR. And then I think I heard off the couple of the lads a couple of weeks later, they was like, "Oh, they've just tried to sign Weller," and obviously he's told them, I'm already going to KR. So I think they were trying to get him in. I don't know. This is my own opinion, but I think they were trying to get him in to say, "Oh, well, do you want to come for next year as well?" But he was like, "I've already signed, I've already got KR." So they just ended up with a player who was already going.
Committed elsewhere,
and and that's just basically how it came about. Probably it was just a quick one like that, and Salford were like, "Well, you're coming next year. We'll take you now as well." So obviously they've said they won't take Weller, so and it just happened like that. And then before you know it,
when you've got an hand in the middle of your back, you're not going to resist it. They're pushing you out anyway, aren't they?
And then he was like, "Oh, you probably won't play much anyway." I was like, "Right." So if you say that, then that's fine. I'll go. It is what it is. So I went, I went, and then obviously, sods lot, I ended up playing Widnes my first game. Yeah, so that was, it's funny how it works, isn't it? But
it is. And to be honest, mate, I don't think you can wholeheartedly leave it for Franny either. Because there was a lot of, don't think we can leave it at Franny, can we? I think there was a lot of upstairs disruptancy and
it was hard going at the time. I think
I can imagine. It must suck the life out of you as players as well. Like a little bit. Well, it weren't a little bit. A lot of uncertainty, weren't it? We're not winning games, and then you get rid of Dennis, which is for the right or wrong reasons. It's irrelevant. You got rid. And then where does that leave you boys when you've got bills to pay and families to look after? And
that's it. Because that's all I was thinking. I was thinking, well, I've sorted for next year, but at the end of the day, some of these lads aren't still. And it was still the time when you get you finish Super League and your contract's boom, you go, it's void and all this stuff, and it's like there's that uncertainty. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm sorted, but it's not the point. It's like these are my mates. Like I've not been here long, but they're still my mates. I want to make sure we can, if I can. Well, again, I say make sure. I'll do everything I can to help and try and not get, try and lose the top flight status, if you will. And it just, just the way it works, and it was a quick one, and it got moved on. But I was going anyway, so
stuff him.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. You've got to look after number one, mate. It's a business as much as a sport now, isn't it? And that's the way it works, mate. Yeah. So could you never have envisaged that journey you'd have been on with Salford now, like when you first signed? It's crazy, isn't it, mate? So talk us through that journey.
Not a pro. That's it. I mean, at the time, Widnes were bottom, Salford were one up, I think. So I've looked at it, I've gone, obviously we'd had a couple of tough years there at Widnes. I'm thinking, well, it's still got to be the same, really. It's got to be hard. Because obviously at the time you'd heard all the chitter chatter, they'd had sold Ben Murdoch and they'd sold Gaz O'Brien. They don't have anyone there, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it is what it is. We're just going to have to struggle and we'll get by. But yeah, we've gone for, and then we signed Jackson and Joe Whiffley middle eight, and we just scraped through that with the skin of our teeth. And then it was just sort of like one of them where you just think, oh, it's going to be the same again next year. And then, to be fair, it sort of was as well. We started really well. I think from our first 4 games, we won 3, maybe. Pasted Catalan over there and stuff, and it was like, and then we just had one of them where we'd lose a couple, and then it was like 50% sort of you'd win 4 or win 1. One of them, it was just all over the place. And then that year we went to Gleeson had sorted, Martin Gleeson was going on a training camp to Ireland mid-season. It was basically a break. I don't know what it was for, it might have been international break or something. But there's a break. And, no, it's Cup actually, it might be Cup weekend, because we got knocked out first round. I think it was one of them free Cup weekends. And they said, right, we'll get this team training camp organised. We weren't a training camp. It was just
a bonding sesh, right?
Just a 4-day bonding. Fucking went on bike rides, drove to a pub, got Guinness, rolled back, found another pub, Guinness, and then it was like we did a bit of like Gaelic football with these local clubs. Got the same again, Guinness after, and it was just like a proper bonding session. But it worked because after that, I think we lost 2 games after it. We lost to Wigan twice, and then we lost the grand final. But we won every game after it, and then but that was the same thing. It was like we had 2. I remember we had 3 or 4 games. Because that year we sort of like doing it in chunks. So we prioritised these games, and I think we had Catalan Warrington or Warrington Catalan. Some other 2 teams, I don't really know. But it was like, we need, and I remember sitting around in a little group, and like one of them was going, we need to win one of these 2 games. If we don't win one, we're done. We're not getting in playoffs. Which in itself is like, instead of worrying about relegation, we're talking about playoffs. And then we won one, and then we won the next one, and then we won the next one. And then it was like every week we'd meet up at the same coffee spot and we'd be like, surely we can't. Like, No,
just waiting for it to burst. Yeah,
we're not Salford. Because I remember just after it, I think it was Flash had said to Moose, he was like, "Imagine if we got to grand final." And Moose was like, "Not a pro, no chance," because we won a couple of games, and then it just boom, boom, with another 3 or 4, and it was like, "There's no way, Salford, no chance." And we just kept doing it, and then got to the playoffs, and it was like, who do we play? We played Wigan first round. I didn't play that. I was filthy. I got dropped for basically no reason. He actually said that as well. It was just a gut feeling, but by the way, I played a week after, but we want to play, and then we lost by, I think it was 12-6. And I remember being in the change room, and it's the most positive any team I've ever been after a game. Everyone was just like, "We'll come back here in 2 weeks, we'll fucking beat them." And that was like the chat. It was like, there was no worrying about all what we've done today. It was like, "We'll come back in 2 weeks, we'll beat these lot." We knew we were playing Cass the week after, but we was that confidence as a group. We knew we'd go and beat Cass. That was our last home game. We knew we weren't going to lose. We won like 24-0. And then we went. And we just pasted Wigan, which is madness really. But we did. We absolutely pasted them. And that crowd as well. I mean, everyone gives Salford grief for not having many fans. But they pretty much, it was like an home game. Obviously, I'm from Wigan, but it was like an home game. Like it was a full stand, and it was just full of like loud as anything, singing all them songs. The rest of the Wigan crowd was like being in church, and it was crazy. And then we ended up in Old Trafford somehow, little Salford, but we got there. I mean, Saints too good, it's very good sound. Obviously, that was the first of the 3 in it, probably potentially 4 this year as well. So it was the start of a really good St Helens team. That so, but we didn't just go to, we definitely weren't one of them either. We were going for make up numbers. We properly thought we could do them.
Yeah,
but we just turned up on the day, and it weren't our day.
So you generally felt that you were going to stuff Wigan without kicking a ball. Because there's some games, Greg, where you rock up and it just feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That was one of them moments.
That was one of them, 100%. Yeah. I remember being here before the game, and it was like the most confidence I'd ever felt going into a game, which is madness thinking about it. Like Salford going playing at Wigan in a grand final, eliminator like type thing, but it was like, if we turn up like what we just said like the other week, we will and we'll do it. And it was like joining the Bulls just outside of town, to drive in. And you got on the Bulls and you could feel it. And it was like, yeah, we're on here. And then started the game, and you could just, as soon as we started it, you could sense it. And it was like, this is going to where we think it's going to go. And yeah, we did. We hammered them.
Yeah, so you sort of like measured them up in the 12-6 game, really, didn't you? And maybe overplayed them and thought, actually, we're as good as these, innit? Because you can do that without knowing it, can't you? You can think. Yeah,
definitely, Paul. And I think that's what it was. I think we sort of took their best, knowing we could give a bit more. I think that's the way. That was the feeling anyway. That was what we felt. They've given us everything there, and we should have come away with it, but we've not. But we'll come back in 2 weeks and we'll do it.
Yeah. So, are you a United fan then?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
How is it walking out, mate, at Old Trafford?
Because if I'm being honest, pal, when I left Wigan, I never thought I'd get a chance. Just being completely honest, I thought that one's probably not got. I always thought I might have a chance of getting to Wembley. Because you've always a chance in cup. But I thought that one's probably past me. I'm never going to play at Old Trafford and blah blah. But that was just to be able to walk out the tunnel and fire things going off and looking up and looking around the stadium. It's mad. It's one of them really. It's really close. It doesn't look that big, but when you see all the people, it's massive.
Yeah.
And then trying to find my family, absolutely no chance of finding them. It just sort of like could have switched and I don't find them. But no, it was it was special. I mean, you don't get the win, but in hindsight, not really fussed really. It's one of them, innit? It's all thing anyway, winning and stuff. I think a lot of it's like, I can say this now because I've lost, but a lot of it is like, it's bit of an ego thing, really, because, you know, who's going to occur in 10, 20 years? It's just like, you know,
yeah,
you win or lose.
Just remember you were there, I suppose, won't you? And,
that's it. Well, yeah. But again, if I'd have won, I'd probably say something different. So I think that's my way of coping with it anyway.
Yeah, it's not a bad way.
I don't cry myself to sleep.
So, but what does that do for you coming back from your break then? Do you... I don't want to put a phrase together, but you don't want to be known as a one-season wonder, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was the feeling in the team with Watto especially, and just the lads who, because obviously the problem we had at Salford was there's like such a massive turnover all the time. Like at the club now, there's only me and Kenny who played in grand final.
That's crazy, that, isn't it?
That's how bad it is. There's just so many players go, and then to top that, there's only me, Kenny. No, Kenny didn't play in it. Sorry, there's only me, Reese, Callum, and James Greenwood from the cup final.
Yeah.
So in that 3 years, there's like 2 from the grand final, 4 left from the cup final, which is, that's why I think there's so much of a struggle really to sort of maintain high standards, because that's what we set that year. We set really high standards. I mean, we had some unbelievable players. We had Jackson, who's like man of steel.
Yeah.
You know, we had some great finishers as well, like Inu and Kenny. You know, they're like Inu's probably the most
freaks, aren't they? To put it blatantly,
yeah. He's just a very laid back man, but he's unbelievably skillful. He's probably the most skillful player I've ever played with. So we had them players, we had them absolute match winners, but then we had a lot of like me type players who just don't get no applaud. No one really notices, but just graphs, you know, that you just
nitty gritty. Yeah,
you'll do a lot of our work that sort of goes unseen by your people wide of the game, if you will, but your teammates sort of appreciate it, which is, you know, end of the day, that's what's most, for me personally, that's what's most important. So we had that. We had a lot of players like that. We had a lot of players who worked really hard for each other, which allowed the match winners to do their thing as well. So, but again, going back to that year, that's exactly what we thought. We don't want to be just getting to this final and then we want to build on it. Want to be known as that. So, a bit like Cass sort of did. I mean, they sort of turned people's perception. Like still now, people still see Cass as a bit more of a bigger club. But we tried to do that, and obviously that was that COVID season, wasn't it? Which was a bit all over the place. But I think we didn't start Super League well. We won 2 from 7. So but we beat Wigan again. That was our last game before COVID. And then in that time, obviously, you just don't know how long it's going to last, do you? So we were training the house down at home. So just before we left and we had to quarantine and not, we all went into the training ground, picked up as much weights as we could or whatever, and took them all home. So I had like a barbell and stuff in the back garden. Yeah. And we just trained, probably trained out at home than we did at training.
When are you going to take it back, mate? Are you keeping it? Or?
What's that?
When you're taking the gear back, or are you keeping it?
As soon as we got back, it was like they had a bloody checklist waiting. Right, who brought this back?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and it sort of, I reckon it put us in good stead for when we came back as well, because I think we hit the ground running. Like our first game, we might have paced it all, and then. Yeah, after that, we lost a couple, but then we went on a little protracted run to the cup final as well. I think it got redrawn, because of something happened with the amateur teams or something. Yeah. So it all just sort of fell into place, I think, for us, because I think we got drawn against Saints as well. It was like, ideally I don't want to be playing them so early after not being, after being off for so long. Yeah. Got redrawn, we ended up playing Catalan, and we worked our way through and ended up at final.
So you've been in a couple of environments, especially like when you were with us. I witnessed we were struggling. So how different is an environment when you're struggling and you are putting genuine effort in, getting no reward for it really, to then go into a winning environment where everything you touch seems to turn to gold. And is it a tricky place to be when you're getting beat, or do you just, again, the cliched stuff, trust the process, it'll come with working hard, or do you hit a rut and do you start thinking, when's it going to end?
I think so. I think it does. Yeah, I mean, you can have that time where, you know, you have that feeling of, you know, just stick to it, we'll get there eventually. But then when it doesn't work, obviously, lads' confidence, you could see a witness. A lot of lads just, they look shocked, like the confidence had gone, like, and it's a shame because there was some proper good players there, but they just had no, like, near that back end, there was just no, like, you could see confidence had gone in a lot of them, and it was a proper shame because, and obviously, like, you know, your fans get, you know, they get annoyed with you, but it definitely not a case of no one not trying or things like that. It just, I think a lot of them just had sort of, just the confidence had just gone. It sort of beat them out of it, and they just, a lot of them probably weren't enjoying the time.
It shows, and it's key, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not going to do that, are you, when you're not winning?
No,
I mean,
no.
Yeah, that's what you want to do, but you know, you want to win, and it just sort of, that's just how it came. And then on the flip side, like I say, when you're winning, everything just, it's that you sort of create your own luck, I think, and but it's all because you work. It's the way you work, I think, and the way you work for each other, and you're willing to do a bit more for people. There's just that sort of, I think that's probably where it is. I think it's a lot of it's down to confidence and enjoyment. I think when you're not enjoying it, then Christ, it's people can, obviously, people who don't know this, oh, it's still, you're playing your hobby or something for a job and thing, but when you're not enjoying it, no matter what you're doing, it's one of them. And it's on the flip side, when you're enjoying it, it's the best job in the world, like, so.
And one of the easier things you're probably doing it.
That's it. You just turn up, and it just sort of comes. It comes easier. That's it. It comes easier. And you might think it's a piece of piss, but it's all the work you've already done. You know what I mean? It's like it's
the reward, isn't it?
Exactly, that sort of puts you in them places, and that's how it works, I think. So
we'll touch on this year a little bit, mate, because you're in the middle of a good run again, and I won't lie, that grand final, obviously I don't want you setting all targets and nothing, it's week for week and all that, but you've got a hint of that, haven't you? So, like, Sneady's come back.
Yeah.
Brody looks like he's a brand new player, doesn't he? Then you've got Brealey's playing some of the best stuff he's playing.
Yeah.
So's Andy Acker, so your spine's pretty solid. Then you've got Acko coming in and kicking off on the back of that, and then your big boys are all doing a job. So Kenny's scoring tries for fun. All them little traits that you've been developing over them years, regardless of the 2 or the 4 you still be there. It looks, you've got that imprint there. It looks like you can go on that type of run again, mate, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely what you just said. There's definitely things that are in place in the side that we can build off. Like I say, you've got your halves that pretty much play every week that sort of complement each other perfectly. Really, you've got Sneed, who's very much like just very so calm. Like the weekend, like they kicked off to him and he just put his hands up in the air. Didn't even stretch or anything. The ball just comes straight to him, like that, as easy like. So he's very calm. He's very confident in what he can do. And then you've got Brody on the other side, who's like dynamite, like wants to be running all the time, and so they just complement each other very well. And you can see it now. Like Crofty's loving his time. I think he's probably the same. Like what we've just been talking about, witness. Yeah. He's probably had that when he was in Australia, because he was seen as, when he was at Melbourne, he was seen as being the next big thing, and then that didn't sort of work out for him. For I think it was salary cap issues or whatever, and then he's gone to Brisbane, massive club, massive expectation, and that's just not worked for him. And it's a shame, really, because that's the thing with Crofty. He loves rugby league, and you can just see he works so hard at it, and you can see why he would get so down, because if it's not working for him, it's definitely not through a lack of trying. He just wasn't probably confident. Well, it will have been a confidence thing, and he said it himself the other week. He's just enjoying and excited to play rugby again, and it's showing in how he plays. And like what he said, everyone else is just sort of clicking in now, and seem to have turned a bit of a corner going into it right in the year, and hopefully that can maintain. But it's one of them, that league's so tight at the minute. Because Toulouse have just they've gone back, the Lazarus effect, they've gone from being nowhere to boom, we're back up, and they're only 2 wins away from jumping up to 8th or whatever it is now.
Yeah. I think they've done a good bit of mid-season business as well, Toulouse, didn't they? And they brought a couple of lads in.
Got some decent signings in, so I think that's what's kicked them on. But fair play to them, and like I say, coming into this time of year now, they've got quite a few home games, and I think they can make it. From being honest, I think they can probably use that as a bit of a tool for going forward and trying to pick up some wins.
Yeah,
because it's going to be different for people going over there. Because it's I've been roasting meat last couple of days. So
that's it. This is a rarity for us, and it's an everyday occurrence for them, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, listen, I'll come to the point now. I've got a few daft questions for you, mate. And so, any pre-match superstitions? Obviously, they've changed as you've got older a bit, haven't they?
Yeah, I used to have one. I used to have, well, it's a superstition. It depends what side of the fence you look at it. I used to always pray before I went out. And it had to be just before I went out. So when they going out for warm up in 2 minutes, that's when I'd have to run off and do it and whatnot. And again, that's one of them. If depends what, is it superstitious or is it actually there, or it's one of them.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that I used to do. So that's probably the one there.
Right. So the toughest player you played with and against, bear in mind the definitions of a fan's toughness to our toughness might be different. We might think of the carries in tricky times. They'll probably think knocking someone's head off, won't they? And it can be that.
Yeah.
The stuff you'll remember is probably them tough carries.
Toughest I've played with. Wow. Probably say Mickey McIlaurin. There's a few
on one, mate. Yeah.
But Mickey, there's been times where you'd be looking at him and he'd be absolutely hanging out his arse, and he'll work so hard. And someone will run at him and he'll just put him straight on the back, and then he'll jog back and he'll be jumping out at now and again, and just so hard, just throws his body about everywhere. And like I say, a lot of people, a lot of fans will give him grief and that, but again, another bloke who's completely, you wouldn't expect it. He's just a proper good fellow, like away from proper quiet as well, and well, I think different to how he is on the field.
Just a different animal on the pitch.
Different bloke when he's on the field. But like I said, there's other people Tyrone McCarthy, who's call him tenacious, because he just put his body in daft places and stuff, and he just too brave for his own good, really. Like when he flew out last year and tried to knock City Lecky on his arse, and to be fair, looking back, probably that was the defining thing that ended his career. But that was just Tyrone. He would just go out and he'd lead the line on his own, and he'd throw his body at people and stuff. And he was definitely a brave player. And
you come on here, mate, and he looks the most relaxed bloke of one of the most relaxed people I've had on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just chilled out, but like I say, worked hard, and he's just probably too brave for his own good at times. But you'd sooner someone be too brave than not brave at all.
Yeah.
And then toughest I've played against. I don't want to just go down that big burly one. The tougher players, I think, are the ones who are just awkward to defend against.
And don't go away, probably, did he?
Defending them because they're just hard to defend. Tell you who was always there to defend. There's been a few really. But one who's playing now, I'd say definitely is like Alex Walmsley. Just because I think who was it who said that? Flash used to tell me about how he quoted him. It was I think it was John Keir. He said he's like trying to tackle scaffolding shot out of the cannon. that's about right. Because it's just a big awkward thing, but he just uses it so well.
Yeah.
He leans in and he's strong as well, like, and just so awkward to defend. But then, like I say, I'll tell you another one who's hard to defend. George Williams. I know we've laughed about this a few times because when was it? We played when Widnes beat him. We beat him 8-4. We went down to 11 men, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or 8-6 or something.
8-6 or something. Yeah.
We went down to 11 men, and I remember we laughed at me and George because obviously I know George, and I remember at the time we were down to 11. I'd been on for longer than I should have been. Like you have your spells, but we couldn't get spelled because we had no subs or whatever. Blah blah blah. And I'm stuck under the middle of sticks. They've just got ball back, and I'm running back, and I turn, and I'm like fourth man in, so I'm next to so I'm like in a back row position.
Yeah.
But I'm under sticks, so I've got like 50 metres. I've got loads of room either side of me because we're losing. And literally, I've turned, and washing machine, I've turned, and George has seen me, and he's just gone, give me the ball like that. He's run at me. He's like, put this left foot step on. I nearly broke my ankle I just did a pirouette in the middle of the field. And I was like, you little bastard. Like, listen, I said, I know, I get it, like, but
yeah.
No.
You don't need enemies when you've got mates like that, do you?
That's what I mean. So they're the ones, they're the tougher ones, I think, is the ones who make it harder for you to defend. Like,
make you do things you don't normally do and stuff. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
So your favourite away ground, Greg? And a popular one is actually Headingley.
Yeah?
Yeah, Headingley's very popular.
I suppose so, yeah, but I quite like Warrington's ground, mate.
The new one?
Yeah, I like playing there. I don't like something about I don't know, I think it's just a good little rugby league ground now, I think. It's not too big, it's quite close to the pitch. It's just the pitch is always brilliant. I probably said that. I said the least favourite, without a doubt, is Wakefield. It's always on a Sunday afternoon. You've usually had a back coach journey, and we usually get pumped. No matter what team I play for, I've been pumped a lot at Wakefield ground. So I'll probably say Wakefield.
Right, mate. So if you've had a few with the lads, you've beat Wigan in a qualifier or something, mate, you end up with a microphone in your hand. What are you giving us?
Oh, I've got all sorts for you, pal. What did I used to sing a lot? I used to sing Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran.
Yeah.
Depending how I feel, if I'm feeling confident enough in my vocal range, I could probably go for My Way by Frank Sinatra. What else have I been known to sing, or butcher, should we say? What else? I'll tell you what was a good one that I can do. Have you heard of I've Been Everywhere by Johnny Cash? Right, well, look it up after and you know what I mean. It's like, there's lots of towns. So in the verses, he says, I've been to everywhere, and then it's like, I've been to, and it just names all these towns after each other. It's quite hard to come up with them. And I remember being at, when Glees was still at Salford, he showed me, and he was like, you'll never get these. I was like, I will. Anyway, I'll give you a year for come up with it. And anyway, I thought, in my own little daft world, I was like, right, I'm going to learn this. So, in my spare time, every now and then, I just go out, put it on. Anyway, the year later, I literally coming out. I said, "Hey, Glees, I've got that song for you." He went, "Fuck off! No way, no way!" And then I did it for him. He was like, "That's outstanding. I've never heard that before. Never heard anyone do that. Fair play." Like, have you got the words up? I was like, "No." He's like, "Fair play to you. I'll give you that one." So,
brilliant, mate.
If you listen to that after, you'll know what I mean. It's quite. So,
right.
Yeah,
so
the decent ones.
I've got a tricky bit for you, mate, and I understand if you don't want to do it because you're still in the middle of your career. But I 1 to 13 you played with.
All right then. Yeah. Number one would be Sam Tompkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go number 1, Sam Tompkins. Number 2. Kenny Seagill's got me one. Gonna have to be. Yeah, he's been brilliant, Kenny.
He was a good find, Kenny, wasn't he?
Proper for both.
Yeah.
I've been with him at KR and I've been with him at
Definitely, yeah.
both times. He's a really, really good player, Ken. Just so like proper solid, great finisher, but he's solid like backfield carries and just a really good winger. But I've Kenny in all day. The other wing spot. Might upset one person here, but
you can have a couple, mate. I've put you on the spot, so you can have a couple. But where would if you just to go slightly off, if you were a coach then, mate, where do you see Chris doing his best stuff? Would Chrisnan be in a centre for you or on the wing for you?
We're not wing, mate.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to put. I was going to put Inu out there on the other wing, to be fair, just because of what he can give you, because he can kick goals.
Yeah.
It's like,
and he's a boss in the air as well, isn't he?
Yeah. But that's what I mean. He's got everything Inu. Like then couple of years at Salford, he was brilliant. He was brilliant for us. So I probably there's my wingers. I'd say Kenny and Inu. Centres we're going for. Oh, Miss Pat Richards out there.
Well, I could put him on.
You could have centre. From what I've played with. Chris Wellham, another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chrissy Wellham.
So you've been blessed, mate, haven't you, really? Like, probably not to hide chew your hair off.
I've played with some unbelievable players, really. Who do, like I say, as a middle, that's all you want. You just want backfield lads who's going to
give you the breather, really, innit?
Yeah, basically give you a breather and then finish tries when they need finishing. So you definitely have had that. Trying to think now. Centre-wise. Hey, I'll come back to centre.
Yeah.
And then earth back. Jackson Hastings is going to have to be in. Going to have to be. The other one.
Playing 13 at the minute, Jacko.
Is he playing 13?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big enough lad too. So he's actually quite a big body for an halfback. So fair play to him. And he's like I say, he's a competitor in it. So
yeah.
Stick him anywhere, he'll do a job, I think.
You don't hit the levels you boys play at if you're just passive, do you?
No. It's what, sorry? You
don't hit the levels you boys hit, just being passive, do you?
No.
You've got to have that bit about you.
Yeah, he's 100%. He's got like, he's tough and he's like I say, his biggest thing is his work ethic and his competitiveness. He's probably the one up there with like Sam's probably one as well, but they're up there with, the best sort of in that area in terms of competitiveness, I'd say.
Yeah.
So him, and then I'd probably go with who's another one? I'd probably go with Albert Kelly. There's like a bit of a maverick on that side. Obviously, you've got Jackson who'll organise everything, and you've got him as the maverick type player.
Yeah. You need structure and you need a free roll, don't you?
That's it, and that's when Albie was at his best. When we had Terry Campese at KR, that's what, because obviously he was the organiser, and that just let Albie free him up, and so much stuff he can do was unbelievable. When he's on his game, he's one at best. So I'd probably have them too. And And then
I thought you'd have picked yourself at 6, kicker, captain.
Well, I could have gone when I was a kid. I'll probably go number 9. I'll start with Mickey.
Yeah.
Mickey Mack. Yeah. Mickey Mack. And then the front row, I'm going to get some shit if I don't pick all my mates here, so if I pick them all. Probably go, I'll tell you what, I'll go. Mossop's got to be in anyway, because he was a good forward, Blues. Put Moose in. And then fair play. I'll tell you what, I'll go with Gil, the other one.
Yeah.
And then back on. Tell you what, I'll go back to centre, sorry.
Right.
Come on. Anthony Gelling.
Yeah.
Anthony Gelling. Good mate of mine, Gels. So, and he was a good player too, so that helps.
Yeah. Give you a stunty now and then back into the training.
He's what?
He used to give you a stunty back into the training.
What a man, tell you. I remember that story coming out, I was like, doesn't even surprise me that. What a bloke. Different kettle of fishing, but yeah, good fella. Yes, then loose forward will be Sean O'Loughlin.
Yeah.
And then the back rows, I'll go with Mark Flanagan and Tyrone.
Yeah.
There's no back row, and I'll come off bench like I always have.